can't have asked for more in terms of chance creation and the pressing aspect of it too. Defensively, what it did for them through the first 45 minutes of the match.
That's a really good point. I think instinctually you can kind of just be like, oh, well, that was a disaster, like the failed experiment. But yeah, every other game, the XG was 3 in this game. That's twice as much, I think, as like they've had in any other game.
Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the KC Soccer Journal. My name is Cody Bradley, Thad Bell, Robert Russert, and Daniel Sperry are all here. Please go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And that music you're hearing is from the Vanden Arms, the best theme music in Kansas City soccer podcasting.
I think it's the best in all of soccer podcasting.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Thad. It is very good. It's a banger of a song. And there are other ones. They have those other ones that we never use. The Football Night. We need to incorporate the Vanden Arms a little more. We thank them very much for letting us use this music all of these years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and we really should get them on the show one day and promote them somehow.
Yeah, we need to get them reunited. Yeah. I want a live performance. After we win MLS Cup, a live performance of My Football Team's Got Me Drinking.
They might be too old to perform at that point.
Oh, man.
I was going to go there, Thad, but I chose not to.
Hey, The Who and all. We're in the radio station right now. 101 The Fox, Classic Rock is just down the hall. All of those concerts are 75-year-old men that are touring. So
this is true.
Sad.
The Eagles are going to take over the Spear. They're next. Who's after the Eagles? U2. Who's going to be? The Stones?
The Who, I think, is like the oldest one. That they were on like a 50th anniversary tour like 5 years ago or something like that.
Oh, come on.
That's
the Eagles
insane.
are on a goodbye tour that's lasted at least 5 years.
Yeah, all of them are their last tours ever, and they keep going.
Yeah,
It's just fun listening to Thad and Robert date themselves pretty.
I know. I
Very well.
just served it to them right in their wheelhouse to start the show. Some old
Actually-
old
Oh,
music.
give me my old music.
I don't think I was actually even talking about it, man. It was all Robert.
I
and
won a
Cody.
music trivia contest in Cancun against younger competition. Thank you very much.
Okay, well done.
Robert is a music aficionado. If you have not seen the article, you should check it out in the pitch that he wrote about Chloe McFadden.
Oh, well thank you,
Good
Thad,
shout.
for taking the photographs for that as well.
Well done. Look at that.
Wow. A lot of
Cross promotion here.
self-promotion.
So
No, never. Come on.
you guys might be able to tell we were avoiding talking about Sporting Kansas City there as long as I could to start this podcast. That game last night, that was a rough one.
And it was cold, Thad.
Hi,
Sorry.
I'm Cody.
It was cold, Cody.
It was cold to everyone. So
It was.
It was brutal.
What a decision to open up the windows of the press box.
no, it's
I
fine.
mean, who made that call? I will never understand, but
They
it was a
have-
very cold night.
I believe they have a minimum and maximum temperature.
And this was above the
This was within the threshold.
Wow. Okay.
It technically was only 42 degrees last night. It did not dip below 40. It felt like 37, but it was not less than 40 degrees. And when there was no wind, it was actually fine up there.
It didn't even feel that cold. I mean, it was cold, but I didn't feel like that cold.
It was whipping through the press box.
It was
higher.
just unnecessary in the press box. I will say that.
I say they should leave those windows open all the damn time. If I'm out there shooting on the field, those windows should be open. Let you have this suffering.
Yeah,
No,
but you got a little more insulation than, a few of us.
Wow. Wow.
It's called a coat.
No, I like to sit in the press box up there behind glass from my perch looking down at all the normal peasants in the cold. We need that glass closed.
You should be feeling the same environment. You should be getting the emotions from the stands in front of you because you're probably not hearing it from the south stand or the cauldron.
Well, I did. Everything in the cold stings a little bit more, so that comeback last night stung extra hard. At the beginning of that game, man, they released this new lineup for the first time ever. They actually show us that they're putting out a lineup that is not a 4-4-3-3. And I'm not sure exactly what it was. It looked like a 4-2-3-1.
4-4-1-1, 4-2-3-1.
It was a little bit fluid. But man, before this game started, I was seeing the dawn of a new age for Sporting Kansas City. The two strikers on the field at the same time. I sent a text saying we were going to win 4-0, and this was going to be the beginning of it all. And at halftime, They were winning 2-0, and I thought I was perfect. What's going on with you two over here? Do I need to
fine.
separate you?
He's playing with my buttons.
Can't bring Sperry anywhere.
We're really close, and so like I didn't want. I had a little clear my throat cough, and I had my mic off, but I was afraid his mic was going to pick up my sound. So I
Oh, see, that's actually
the
good.
cough
Well
button.
done, because it would have definitely caught in his
yeah,
mic.
So
But it was just it was very cute. But be careful. We're in a radio station now. No, just randomly pushing buttons and bickering while I'm trying to do a podcast. You two.
We're in a radio station. This is a very adult professional environment.
These two have a good
Can we-
rapport.
Can we just keep moving here?
The stars of the Keeping Current with Kansas City podcast. The new
Stars.
logo.
Ooh, Cody, shout out.
Who
like
who
it.
came up with the logo? I like that.
I had the idea, but my wife made it.
That's good. Very simple.
Yeah.
It helps our feed a lot. Just with that added color in there, it helps distinguish it.
I
That's
added a
good.
different one for the blue turf one as well.
And we will talk about the Current here in a little bit.
Absolutely.
But yes, let's talk about this game last night. I'm still barely
Still
getting
trying
there.
to get us there, Cody. You're trying,
Avoiding
man.
it the whole time. Goodness gracious.
That was one of the best halves of soccer this team has played in a very long time, Robert. Maybe the only other one that comes to mind is against St. Louis in that series. But it was complete from start to finish of the half. From the very last kick of the half, they scored a goal.
Yeah, our pressing and counter-pressing definitely was frustrating the Galaxy. There were many times when I saw Puig, for example, putting his arms up in the air, saying, what's going on here, barking at each other.
Puig?
So that was Puig. What did I say?
Ricky.
Ricky. Okay.
Puig.
So, yes, very good performance as far as that goes. Voltaire was all over the field. Radia was, reading the play well, and we were moving the ball.
Robert's still a little bit afraid of Nemanja Radia's name there. I sense that.
Well,
as
that's
you
not how they pronounced it in the Apple broadcast last night. So,
We can be better than them. We
Yeah.
should aspire to be better than them.
yeah, of course.
It's not hard.
5 shots in the first 10 minutes, 17 shots in the whole first half, 6 corners in the first half, and they finished the game with 6 corners, by the way. An onslaught of that in the first half, and then they did not get one the entire second half. But we scored off of a corner. They clearly have a play that they did. I think all 6 of those corner kicks were all the exact same play, where Eric Tommy ran to the corner to just kind of change up the angle a little bit. But it worked. We got that first goal. Radia got his first one of the season of his club career with Sporting Kansas City. Sperry, we're scoring off corner kicks. Was that we did good, or was the Galaxy just really bad at defending these?
I think it's good, actually. I like the service. I think the service has been pretty good on corners, actually, for this team for a while now. It's just been getting people on the end of it. Last three of the last 4 goals for Sporting have been off of set pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, Danny Rosero in
What a
there.
sentence.
You've got you've got both the goals came off of a corner kick routine in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, I think they're finding ways to be a little bit more creative. They've got some better service in there, and guys are getting on the end of it. Is this a set piece team now? I don't know, but at the same time, it's certainly a positive.
I don't know how good I think the service has been. The Rosero goal, that was a perfect ball in. I thought a lot of these from Eric Tommy were a little far of the back post, a little further than the back post than they needed to be. And this first goal did kind of fall, luckily, to Shallowy over there, and he played it in. So, Thad, I don't know. Has Sporting figured something out, or was this just lackadaisical defending from the Galaxy on these? Because it looked bad.
A little both of neither. I mean,
Both of neither. Wow, that's an incredible sentence. That's why I love you.
that's Orchard Farm Grammar School.
I will say this, just jumping in back on the set piece thing. There was something that, and I did in a story. I was talking with Daniel Shallowy's dad, and and Istvan said that he was talking with Daniel about places to be and where the ball tends to go off of these corner kicks. And I feel like if you look at these goals, like the Memo Rodriguez one is 100%. The service is perfect. Very difficult for any of San Jose to defend. Danny Rosero's crashing it, beats Iwabise to the ball perfectly in the box. It's fine. But these 2 corner kick goals, you look at Daniel's corner kick goal against St. Louis. In St. Louis, it's all people in the right place at the right time and just kind of going where the ball tends to go. in these moments. Sporting for a long time has been putting that ball into the near post. And it seemed like no one would ever follow up the back post. So somebody's starting to follow up the back post. Some of it is just kind of like reading the play and putting yourself in a place where the ball normally goes instead of everybody trying to attack the ball. And I think at some point the ball will find their way to guys if you put yourself in the right place in the box for it to fall. If if it's a glanced header, if it ricochet, a headed clearance ricochets off someone else's back, lands to you, or you're like Willie Agata, who it literally lands in your feet and in your lap, and you're like, holy crap, how do I get this towards the goal? Because that's what it looked like. He was like, oh my gosh, how did this even happen?
That is just where I was going with that. The ball, it absolutely fell to him, and I'm not sure how much he knew about it. Like, that might have just hit his foot and gone in the goal. I'm not sure.
I think he made an effort, but I think he almost stumbled over it.
It is really difficult. It's one of those plays where there's a guy right in front of you. You have to account for him to maybe get the ball, or you almost assume he's going to touch it, and then he doesn't, and boom, it hit him right on the foot.
I think Willie had the same look on his face as all the Galaxy defenders. Like, what just happened?
Yeah, he did.
Why?
He literally put his arms up like that, too. He was like, oh.
It was very like, it's John Brooks. It's John Brooks moment of like, oh my gosh, that just fell on my lap.
Yeah.
Like the look on his face was like, holy crap, how did that happen?
Well, unfortunately, that seems like those are a lot of the goals with Willie, where he's right on the goal line, poacher, he's going to put those home. But he should have a couple more last night.
He should have.
Well, Cody, a couple of times last night, as Willie was struggling at moments, I was reflecting back on 2022 at the end of the season when Willie came in, and you emphasized that one goal that he had at least 3 bites of the apple at, and he finally put it away like the 4th time.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking about that. Yeah, that's basically what Willie Agata has been a lot since he's been here. He needs a lot of opportunities, and he sometimes flubs one that's maybe he should put away a little more easy.
Or he passes it when he should.
Oh,
Exactly.
That one
That's
play.
true. Yeah.
We'll talk about everything that changed in the second half, but this was the first minute of the second half that Agata had a wide open goal in the box. I don't know what he was thinking, and he chose to pass it over to, I think it was Tommy. But man, that was one right there. And he had a couple other big moments. One thing we were talking about with this new formation, 2 strikers on the field, not something they've done a lot of. And Robert, I think we both noticed at least one moment in that game where they were still trying to figure this out, where they both are running to the same spot in the box and had a moment where it's like, oh my God, there's another striker here that I have to deal with. Where should I go? So I don't know. Do you see them sticking with this? Do you think that was a part of the problem why Polito was so quiet for most of the night?
Well, there were moments where, Polito would end up being the striker and Willie would come back, so it was a nice interchange, but it's just going to take time to work it out, just like anything else. But what I really liked about it, though, early in the first half or throughout the first half was that there were times where Willie and Alan would be directing play from the Galaxy where they wanted the play to be directed, which then helped our press, from the midfield. So that part of it was really good. The other part, the attacking part, is going to be the more difficult part for it to work out. How often this ever happens again, right, though?
I would like to see it happen more often, quite honestly. Having 2 people out there with a serious nose for goal, Willie has it, whether it takes him 27 shots to get the 1 goal, but he takes those shots usually. And Polito, who we know has the quality, but he also likes to drop back. So I'd like to see that a little bit more often.
I'd like to see Polito show that a little bit more, though.
And you're talking about, not taking shots, and there are a couple more instances from some other players, but there are a couple instances too. Shallowy in the 10th minute.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to get that on frame.
Daniel.
And then Polito early in the second half as well, not putting the ball in frame when he should have. You've got to make the keeper make a save. And if you want to look at a stat overall, we had, you were talking, Cody, at the end of the first half, we only had 6 of those 17 shots that were on goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I will say this. You talked about going back to the dual action and pressing there. At times, though, because Daniel is and Tommy have such high work rates and they press so hard, at times they literally were like almost at times pressing with 4 against that back. And within the first minute, if you remember, they created a turnover right there, and all Willie had to do was slip the ball into Allen, and Allen has a 1v1 with McCarthy. It could have been 1-0. It's less than a minute, if not 2 minutes into the game. The press created a ton of opportunities for them, and I think the overall the formation change like went perfect. Outside, remove those 10 minutes, which we'll talk about later. The formation change went exactly how you would want for the first time ever running that out. Was it perfect? Perfect in the sense that they could have. The good thing is we're talking about the fact that they could have scored 4 or 5 goals. I think any of the other games so far this season, I don't know that any of them I can say, oh, Sporting should have had 4 or 5 gilt-edged opportunities.
Actually, yes.
And that's the thing is like it's like we'll get later to more online conversation of like the whole Vermes out thing, but ultimately Peter Vermes 100% nailed the tactics last night. The execution by the players for 10 minutes cost them the match, and that is something that like we've got to look at. It's not the first time they've done the 4-2-3-1. It's the first time they've publicly admitted that we're just straight up going to do it, because honestly you can't really hide that when you have Polito and Agata on the roster, the match day roster together. But they did that in St. Louis, the whole series against St. Louis. They did that, and it worked really, really well. And so, like, this is not something that will necessarily go away. Does it happen as consistently? I don't know, but this is you can't have asked for more in terms of chance creation and the pressing aspect of it too. Defensively, what it did for them through the first 45 minutes of the match.
That's a really good point. I think instinctually you can kind of just be like, oh, well, that was a disaster, like the failed experiment. But yeah, every other game, the XG was 3 in this game. That's twice as much, I think, as like they've had in any other game.
In the first half, they surpassed any of their shot on target or total shots for a match totals for a whole match this entire season so far, and their expected goals within that first 45.
Well, so what was working in that first half that just wasn't in the 10 minutes?
I think players were not. If you want to go into that section,
Well,
now,
actually, hold on. Let's wait for this. Robert, you had a couple more things that show maybe these 17 shots, and maybe it wasn't as dominant as it felt in the first half.
Yeah, 50% of our shots were outside the 18, which, okay, there's some clear good chances, granted. But that XG of 3.0, we scored 2 goals on sloppy, arguably sloppy defending by Galaxy in the box. Galaxy, by the way, 75% of their shots were inside the box. And then 11 of our 25 shots were blocked by the Galaxy. So
that was the
when
big
there's
one.
a shot that's blocked, okay, good for the Galaxy, well done. But that also tells you that we're maybe not getting shots in the best areas, perhaps, as far as space allotment and things like that.
It's true.
And overall, this season so far, we have the 3rd longest shot distance in the league. Our shots are from the 3rd longest, and then the 4 lowest completed passes in the 18. So we're still not getting, shots that other teams that have players that the Galaxy have.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. They were taking a lot of shots from outside, and some of those were blocked. But I think through a lot of these games this year, they've been doing a lot of outside shooting. They haven't been doing as much inside the box as we wanted. They got, I think, actually more inside the box this time than they did in the previous games. And I actually like having a team that will take those shots from outside, because you want to prevent the team from packing it back. So you want them to defend out a little bit more. So having those opportunities, and when a coach will stress too much that you have to choose your shots better, that reduces the number of chances you have, period, the number of shots, the number of rebounds. There's a fine line there, and I don't know where to find that, but I think they haven't found it. But an XG of 3, we underachieved in goals versus the XG, but in previous games we've overachieved in goals versus the XG. I don't know where that right balance is.
Well, that's a lot of generalities that we've just talked about. What I'm talking about more about is decisions on the ball. Okay, decisions on the ball, where you are off the ball, things that make those better chances happen, and those a lot of things that we are not doing.
One quick stat check. Dang it.
We called it.
We waited so long in the show without doing
Hold
it.
on. Let's fill everybody in here. Sperry is all excited in this new studio. There's shiny and lit up buttons everywhere that he wants to touch, and he was trying to learn the on-off switch. I told him he was having too much fun with the on-off switch on his mic, and he should just leave it on. And then he was like, "No, I got this." And I told him it was going to happen at least once, and here we are. First segment already happened.
All right.
Strike one.
This baseball season hasn't started yet, so we're still spring training, baby.
Coming up, though.
All right, ready? So first half. This is from FOP Mob. Shots
Good man.
outside the box, 7. shots inside the box, 11. So in that first, if we're going to evaluate and say the first half itself was great and wonderful, 11 shots inside the box. They had 8 shots that got blocked. They put 6 of them on target. So I don't want to go too hard in this notion that they're too far. They're shooting outside the box too much, because in that first half they did that. But
this season,
but yes, like we're talking this game in a vacuum, right? This was the first big change and the best game that we've seen so far, and they did so by doing that inside the box. In the second half is where it changed. They took 6 shots outside the box and only 2 inside the box.
And
so
one of those was a mile outside the box. That Nemanja Raduljic.
Nemanja Raduljic was feeling it,
but he got it on frame.
It was a heat. It was a shot on target.
It was better than Daniel's over the crossbar
from the 6. But yeah, so like I just think like as we go forward from Sporting, right? This is everything has been. I think even with the result's not great, but optically, every single game has been an improvement upon itself, except for maybe last week. I thought last week was a step back from what we saw in LAFC, but I also thought they were a little bit better in what kind of chances that they conceded against San Jose. But in the attack, that was so far and away the best night that you'd think, okay, that's what we thought this team could be capable of at times, what we should have expected them to be capable of based on what we saw for majority of last season in terms of creating chances and getting goals. So I think to now, 5 games in, if that's the game marker for game 5, I think that's probably still a pretty good indicator of where this team is headed overall. Because honestly, and I will say this, let's not think like LA Galaxy were just some awful team. The LA Galaxy are a much significantly better team than they were last year. And it's like night and day over there. So I think that like this Galaxy team is a good team. This Galaxy team is going to be in the playoffs, and result aside, you should be more than encouraged by that performance for the long run of the team than anything.
They are in second place right now.
They are.
Where Sporting Kansas City was in that
Sporting
first
KC
half.
would have been
right
if they had held on.
No, I totally agree with what you're saying, Daniel, but it's a game we should have won, and we didn't.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make, as we talk about the second half at some point, I'm not trying to necessarily make excuses for that result, but I think because this is not a game, if you lose this kind of game in September, then I think we're taking much more damning wholesale looks at everything that went out. But this is game 5. We still got 29 of these left.
You say the level-headed people would be doing that because that's what the fans are doing right now.
Yeah. Oh, no.
With this result this early in the season, they're doing that
We're trying to preach a little bit of calm.
Yeah, so
just a little bit.
We'll take a quick break, and then we'll talk about that 10-minute span where everything changed.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, we are back. Segment 2 of your group therapy session.
Sperry's not familiar with the pseudo breaks.
Bro, I thought we were really taking a break. Gosh dang it. I was like, I got to stretch. What's going on in the tournament? No, I'm going to have to jump up and down. Thad will say, I couldn't see you over the window ledge. Just make some short joke.
A peek behind the curtain there. Yeah, never actually a real break. I just say we're doing that so I can put ads there, and then we come back. So yes, group therapy session. We are back. We kind of dove into it a little bit. The fan reaction to this game. This one hurt. There are a lot of people genuinely bothered by this one.
I think so, because you go from being high, like, hey, the team is great, we're winning, and then all of a sudden, gone.
Why did you sound weird just then?
Yeah, that sounded really weird.
I don't know.
Everything looks normal.
Weird.
Edit.
Okay, so let's talk about actually what changed, what went wrong in the 70th minute or so.
Well, I think it was made a little bit of a big deal on the Apple broadcast, but in the 61st minute, Brugman came in for Cirillo in the midfield of the Galaxy, and he's a little more forward thinking. And I think it had a bit of an impact, but I think it was more of a combination of it at that point. Ricky's touches had been a lot quicker. One touches, quick release of the ball. Joveljic. Edit on that one. Joveljic, thank you. His runs were becoming more clever. He was more active on the ball. There were moments in the first half where he was not moving at all. So I think it was a combination of those three things that made us make some tough decisions, and in those moments, we made the wrong ones.
I'll say this, actually. Brugman might be more forward-thinking, but he's a deeper-lying playmaker. And you bring Brugman on for Cirillo. Cirillo's more box-to-box kind of player. And so you bring that in and allows Ricky Puig to operate much higher. And there was at times I'm literally watching this, and Ricky was between the center backs trying to bring the ball up the field because there was nobody that was connecting the defense to the midfield, and that's partially because of what Sporting was able to do, and two, that the way that their team at the time was set up. So they bring on Brugman, it allows Ricky Puig to operate a little bit higher. We'll go and we'll talk about the second goal at some point, but like the sequence before the second goal and then directly in the second goal when it actually counted, it was Brugman to Puig to Joveljic. Same exact sequence, same exact pass.
Yep. And
so the Brugman sub changed the way the Galaxy midfield looked, and it changed them for the better, and it was a very good move from Greg Vanney. The first goal is so fluky that, like, I mean, they could have done a little bit better to clear it, but like at one point the ball is literally like stuck between two Galaxy players who were standing up, and it somehow didn't touch anybody's arm, even though it was like connected to both of their chests. Like there's so much fluky that the shot had to squeak through like five players. There's so many of those things that like you have to like toss up your hands a little bit. Also, it is a set piece, and at that point, 3 of their last 4 goals that they had conceded dating back to the playoffs were all off set pieces. That's a concerning trend that continues to be a thing for this team over the last 3 years anyways, is set piece defense, and maybe even while dealing with the initial ball, not being able to deal with the secondary issue as well and completely clearing the situation. So small issues there on the corner kick, but that, I don't know, the corner kick was just, the whole thing of the corner kick was just so fluky anyways that the ball dropped for that shot at the moment that I don't know how much you want to like get at them for it, but at the same time,
that was Vermees's exact reaction to that goal too. It's just like it's one of those. That's how Crystal Palace scores against Manchester City. You know, it's just like one of those goals. Like it just always happens.
Yeah.
Sperry, you touched on a theme from recent years, things that have a trend of recent years, and I think this game. I don't even remember which one of them that you said, because I think this game was symbolic of several problems like that. We've dropped 7 points from winning positions already. There was a lack of subs. They couldn't score the winning goals that they needed to put the game away. That's kind of the reaction of a lot of fans right now. Same old, same old. It's, we're so close to being good, but it's just not quite there. We're really good, but this one thing. And it's like we keep waiting for this team to unlock something, and it just doesn't ever happen.
Well, let's talk about the subs. Okay, everybody. Who would have you brought on that would have had an impact?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's honestly, I think that's where this gets like really bleak, is that it's not just you're mad at Vermees for not putting in this one guy off the bench that would have changed the game. It's we didn't make a sub and we don't have any subs. There's no one that we can trust to really come in and do that.
There's not a lot of people there for them to bring in. I was kind of expecting maybe one more sub, maybe Memo Rodriguez for somebody. The question is, were they not playing well because they were tired, or were they just being exposed and these are the best guys that Sporting has and they're getting exposed?
Memo was not on the bench.
Yeah,
so
I was looking at myself.
He could not have been subbed in.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: like in the midfield, like there are people. Oh, you should have made a sub in the midfield. Okay, you think you're going to bring on Felipe Hernandez or Danny Flores?
Felipe is going to come change that game
to close out the match. Or are you Steven Afrifa has had his opportunities so far. He's done nothing with them off the bench, and that's really disappointing because I thought he was going to do something, and he really hasn't. And so I think Memo, maybe you bring in to the game and allows you to change up a look a little bit differently if he's available. At that point, you've kind of exhausted. As Peter made this point in the press conference, late in a game, normally he would drop to a 4-2-3-1 to help close out the game and kind of clog up the middle, but they already were there. So as much as I don't know who else he was supposed to bring on at that point when, you have 4 defenders and Marinos Giannis and Steven Afrifa were the only attackers to bring off the bench. That's just kind of where they're at with their injury situation.
Yeah, I mean, Afrifa is the fourth choice winger right now. It's just Johnny was out, Kyrie had surgery, and Vargas is away. So
Sorry, I didn't realize that Rodriguez wasn't on the bench.
that one was me. Someone was breathing in the mic, so I muted it. But I'm not even sure if it was you. It might be Robert. Robert might also be a mic breather.
Oh, sorry to breathe.
Yeah, because I thought I'd left it on or turned it on. But anyway,
Have to occasionally. Yeah.
I do apologize for not realizing Rodriguez was not on the bench. I was driving and I got there right at the beginning, right after the game started, so I probably missed that. But there wasn't a lot of people for them to bring on, and that's not a choice. But going back to something Vermees, what you said about Vermees, he acknowledged that he would have normally dropped it back to 2, playing the D mid role, but that just means he didn't have another option to do. There wasn't another mental option for him to do. I mean, could have brought on another defender to plug in there. I don't know, but at that point they're trying to chase the game, so it wasn't.
Yeah. You're not bringing on a third center back in the 70th minute.
No,
and at that point, even I don't know that bringing on the third defender stems the tide in the way that it was going for the Galaxy at that point either.
No, because you had the 3 goals were scored in 8 minutes, right? But there was also, I think, 2 others that were called back for offside. They were just very dominant in that 15 minutes-ish that they were just really good.
Yeah.
And Sporting did not have an answer.
Well, I want to echo the fan base a little bit at the risk of being too negative for the front office's mind.
You go, Cody.
Do you guys agree with that feeling that we keep having these same conversations? Vermees isn't doing enough subs. The roster isn't built enough. We show that we're good, and then they blow it. They can't close out these results. Is this in the minds of people, or is there something to this, Robert?
Isn't that discussions that 80% of the fan base in the soccer world has for their team?
Well, that's fair.
Pretty much.
As a Manchester United fan, these are conversations I have in my head all the time. So I don't know.
Manchester United is in a horrible state right now. As a Manchester City fan, I don't have these conversations. I feel quite good about them.
Congrats on liking soccer for 5 years. Anyways,
and evil soccer money.
I love a Manchester United fan in America trying to say that a Man City fan was fair weather. How did you become a fan of Manchester United? Did you pick them because they were so mediocre?
It's the very first game I ever watched.
Yes, and because you picked them because they're the most famous club in the world. So how dare you hate on Manchester City fans?
I did not pick them because they were the most famous club in the world. It was the only soccer I got on my TV back in 2005, and I fell in love with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Rooney and Ronaldo were not even on the team by the time I was watching Manchester United.
Okay, well, I fell in love with
so
City.
old school,
I fell in
man.
love with City before all of the titles. It was when Carlos Tevez went there.
That was the start of the money.
Yeah,
You only fell in love with City for the money.
for Carlos
Anyways,
Tevez.
Evil soccer money.
Because
Back to
Evil soccer money.
back to Kansas City soccer. I understand fans' concern there, and I feel like there's a reasonable level of fans for fans to be able to have those conversations. You want to talk about subs, fine. You want to talk about even the feeling of this team is almost there, but it's just not quite. I get those feelings and those points, but at the same time, we have to maybe just take it with a tiny grain of salt that this is just the 5th game of the season. And this is a team that is good and familiar with each other, but there's also, Robert Voladers.
Hold on. I think you're exactly right, but that sentence right there is, I think that's the frustration that I think I'm talking about. it seems like we say this all the time with this team, or it's at least been the last 2 years, like, oh, it's still early, but then it's like it just continued. Like, isn't that we say that a lot? Like, just wait, it's coming soon.
And it's still early this season, but it's pretty much the same team from last year.
And it is the same team. So what are we waiting on? We're waiting on the midfield signing in the summer transfer window.
Yes,
I mean,
Waiting on that 10.
you're waiting on a healthy Johnny Russell, a fully fit Andrea Fontes. Are you waiting on Logan and Denbe to come back? Because he makes a big difference defensively for the back line. So, I mean, it's the same team in the same stroke. No, it's not.
This is kind of fun because I'm usually the person trying to defend Sporting in this, so I just play on the other side a little bit more since you're the one defending
Playing
them.
both sides.
Yeah, well, gotta argue both ways.
Are you going to do it, or do you just want to say that?
What? Man, give me a chance, dude.
Go.
But you got it. You still can say that Sporting needs to be deeper. If you're going to say, well, these four guys are out, then they need to be deeper. It's the same argument that a lot of people have made over the last couple of years. I agree. It's still 5 games of the season, but it's mostly the same team from last year. So that's really not a great argument in that spot. If you say, well, they're missing Johnny Russell. Well, Johnny Russell is what, like 45 now?
Exactly.
Well,
We're not expecting him to play.
easy.
I know he'll kick my ass later. That's fine.
So far.
But he's not going. We can't expect him to play 30 games. So it's just that these guys are what we had last year, and a lot of people are disappointed by that. There might be reasons that there weren't a lot of movement in the offseason, which we don't want to go back into. And I think that they will be okay and they'll be a good team. But if you're going to make those arguments, it's got to be something. There's got to be a better defense than the same argument that's been made for the last year, 2 years, 3 years.
Well, hey, we got to look at this. Okay, Melia has been Tim Melia.
Oh,
The back
yeah.
line
What
has
a game
the
from
back
Timmy.
line has improved. You could say dramatically from a year ago. The midfield, I mean, look at the midfield last night. Strong play in every position. And, we can argue about
For
Tommy
half.
all day.
For half.
No Gotti Kinda, we can argue about that too. It'd be nice to have. The front line was playing well. It just need to be more decisive in those moments. And if we had been, we'd be talking about a victory right now. And, we're not that far away.
But when we say they just need to be more decisive, these players, they're adults. They're not going to change dramatically. Like, okay, today they were not decisive. Tomorrow they're going to be decisive.
You get Willie Agata in a groove, he's going to be more decisive. He's not there yet. He doesn't have the minutes in him yet this season. So you got that factor. You've got them working together for the first time. That factor as well. And then you've got...
We get a lot of streaky guys. Shallowy gets feeling himself. He can score some goals. Same with Polito, Agata.
That's most strikers. That's most forwards. They don't...
Johnny can get in the mood too.
If he's on the field.
Right.
Sorry. Again, I'm kind of taking the negative side today.
and our set pieces are better. So, things are looking up, guys.
Okay.
Man, you're
Okay.
you're usually the negative guy.
Hey, I'm playing both sides.
I
Just call me Thad
appreciate
Bell
that.
here.
I appreciate that. And Willie did acknowledge last night to the media when we were talking to him that Peter tells him he needs to be more selfish. So, like, some of those passes that he should not have made.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was passes that he should have made. So, yeah.
Final thoughts on this game?
The second goal is the most frustrating out of all of them. I think because of the fact that it was the sequence that happens right before. That's the one that you...
Because they had
like,
2 called back, like right,
Yeah, but
right
it was
before that.
Yeah, but it was literally that goal
It
was the
was.
exact same
Yeah.
sequence that happened less than 60 seconds earlier. I went back and looked on the clock. It's 70. I think it was 73. No, 74. It was like 74-30. The ball goes in the net for the first offside. 73-30, and then 74-27. The ball goes in the net for Jovic being onside. The only thing that changed in that sequence was the fact that Tim Melia launched it long. Willie Agata tried to do a flick header over the top to Daniel Shallowy, goes back to John McCarthy, and they restart and do the exact same play. That's the goal that's like the most concerning out of all of them for me. The other one, like Jake Davis tries to sell out and slides
Right.
to close the guy out.
Yep.
Peter
Unlucky.
afterwards says shouldn't have done that.
Nope.
Otherwise, you either delay the shot for a while, and
That was
maybe
was
more
that the
guys are-
third goal?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
the third goal.
Okay, but on the third goal, that's Jake doing that is one thing. That kind of thing happens. It was Tim Leibold that just stopped defending, just forgot to defend on that play, didn't follow the guy. He was
And
defending
Radia.
the guy that scored, and he just stopped. He was just jogging in the box while that guy ran to the back post and scored.
Nemanja as well.
Ugh.
Can I add one positive I don't think anybody's brought up yet?
What?
No.
I thought the ref did well.
The only negative I will say, he gave Tim Leibold a yellow card
Right.
for time wasting on a throw in the 69th
Yeah.
minute, and the Galaxy were doing the exact same thing, and he yelled at him.
I
That's
think
it.
you're saying well in comparison to the other replacement refs.
Hey, aren't
I
they
think
voting
he did
this week?
fine compared to the regular refs.
Okay. Okay, there was still too much. I'm noticing this way more with the replacement refs than any other we've had before, where the ball goes out of bounds and the center ref doesn't know and the AR doesn't know, and they both just kind of, one of their arms just floats up very slowly like, yes, this direction. This happens way too often.
They need to be more decisive.
We'll be right back. All right. We mentioned the refs there really quick. There's some progress on that front, Robert. Isn't there a vote coming soon?
A tentative agreement has been reached,
Right.
but the needs to be ratified, if you will, by a vote. So
maybe when
Daniel
some
says
people
today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, the last time Pro and PRSA had a tentative agreement, it got voted down by like 92% of the PSRA.
Overwhelming.
Group, overwhelmingly. So we'll see what this actually does. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, we get this done.
Totally agree. Even though I did just compliment the ref.
Toronto FC. We're going north of the border, eh?
You're going north of the border. I am going south to the beach.
You are?
Yeah.
You going on vacay?
I'm going on vacay, finally.
Where are you going?
Nice.
Florida, Tampa.
Florida, okay.
Anyways,
We are so good.
Sporting is going to Toronto.
We're so good at previewing the games of the next week. You're not even normal part of the show where we can never do that properly. And you derailed it before we could even say anything about it. So
You're
well done.
welcome. You're welcome.
You're at home on this show.
Hey, Toronto beat Atlanta 2-0 this past weekend.
I saw that.
Well, Atlanta played like their USL2 team. So
Toronto's in 5th place right now on 10 points, 3-1-1, 5 goals for, only 2 against.
Wow. Stingy.
John Herdman coach team.
Mm-hmm.
Stingy, somewhat interesting going forward.
What place is Atlanta in right now? I thought they weren't they?
Atlanta's dropped to 8th.
Oh, wow.
They've got some frustrating losses
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It's early.
How'd everyone's fantasy team do this weekend?
What fantasy team?
You still haven't joined? You said you
No,
were
I haven't.
joining.
You guys have
Hey,
a
I was
league?
in Cancun last week.
You guys have a
Okay.
league?
That's fair.
Would you like to
Yes,
join?
please join KC Soccer Journal.
Okay.
I am in 22nd place right now,
Out of?
right behind Johan's Quazes.
How many people in the league?
I believe there's 100 something.
What? Was that many? Damn.
Well, there's a whole bunch of fans from other leagues or from other teams. We've got Miami fans. Oh, we have 81. I'm sorry. There's 81 in the Kansas City Soccer Journal League. How'd your team do?
I forgot to set anything and I forgot to look. I've been kind of busy.
I'm checking.
Cody, did you have
I'm
Lewis
having a
Morgan?
hard time logging in because I've got my login.
I did really well.
Bawanga?
I did. I rolled. It all paid off. I have had Bawanga on my team since week 1. He seemed like a great value. This guy just scores goals. That's what he does. And he went the first 4 games without scoring. And I almost took him out. If Messi would have been playing, I would have had to have taken him out. But I rolled with him, and he got 19 points. I don't know. At least, is it 2 goals and an assist? Is that what he did? What a game. I should have captained him.
I had more players did not plays than I did players that actually played. So that's how we're doing because Daniel forgot to set his lineup on the international break. But Jake Davis got me 3 points. Eric Tommy got me 12.
Yeah, I got Eric. Ooh, what did you captain? Eric Tommy?
I've had Tommy captain since week 1. It was great week 1. I genuinely haven't touched my team since week 1, man. So sorry.
Captaining Eric Tommy. That's a hell of a decision.
I thought he had a goal in him, and I was correct in week 1.
Needed to send out a reminder to set the lineups. I did it the couple weeks previous to that, but yesterday totally forgot.
I know, and it was a busy week for that kind of thing. Like I had to set my.
Oh, I am into Casey Soccer Journal League.
I had to set
I'm in
my
40th.
Ha.
I'm in 40th out of 81, so I'm still in the top half, baby.
I did my NCAA bracket picks, and then I did my MLS fantasy picks this week. What else was notable around MLS this weekend? I saw LAFC won 5-0 against Nashville.
Wow. I think that's one of the guys that I have left on my team that probably sucked then.
I mean, of note, St. Louis City continues to draw.
Yeah.
Why did you? What? Why? Why, Daniel?
It's
Why?
funny.
Why?
Well,
They've drawn,
it was
they drew
funnier.
against DC United, which is not much worse than the LA Galaxy.
It would be more fun and funnier if we didn't lose when they were getting
Yes,
draws.
I'm sure. Yeah, nothing else really. I mean, Miami getting thumped
Yeah.
by Lewis Morgan.
Look
is
at all
pretty
these
fun.
shutouts around the league.
Yeah.
Atlanta United shutout, Austin FC, New York City, Columbus Crew, Inter Miami. All shutouts.
I will say we had the after the
Nashville.
current game was over in the press box while I was trying to write. We did put up the Sounders Quakes game, and the last 20 minutes of that game was an absolute fever dream. A whole
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I was
from the goal from Masovsky and then Jeremy Iwabise. It was a pretty good team goal for San Jose to get their first win of the year. So
There really is a lot to love. MLS is a fun league.
you just never know what's going to happen.
Is that how
Never
you say
know.
that? Not a Bobisi?
Yeah, Iwabise.
Okay.
Say it again. That was
Jeremy
you were-
Iwabise.
Yeah.
There's Iwabise, Iwabise. I mean, you can say it however you want. I'm not sure how he does.
Ebobisse? I've never
I would,
heard
I would
Ebobisse.
absolutely love it if their director of communications would send me the pronunciation guide, and then maybe I'd get it right. But
They
Jeremy.
probably have a SoundCloud with all the pronunciations as
they
well.
probably do.
Jeremy.
Pardon my ignorance here, but segment 3, 2 wins over San Diego. What is that about?
Aha. See, I know something that Robert doesn't.
Oh,
Wow. You gonna share that, or would you like
I don't
one
know.
of us to fill
I
it
kind of
in?
wanted to just bask in it for a second. 2 wins over San Diego, Robert. KC Current. You didn't know that? That surprised you right there? I thought that was the one you were going to know.
they played San Diego in the both first 2 games.
No.
Oh,
KC
okay.
Current's
That's why
got to
I'm
win.
confused. Yeah, I'm like,
just keep
what?
listening. Hold on, keep
The
listening.
Current's got to win.
You were there. They played Portland.
The Current got to win
Yeah, I
on
know.
Saturday
why
over
I'm
San
confused.
Diego.
Mexico did a number on him.
And the Comets make the playoffs, beating the San Diego
Great.
Sockers.
Why is this a big deal?
Man, you're just gonna piss off all the indoor fans.
He was just mad he got caught not knowing
Well, no, it's just-
soccer
okay.
was happening.
2 San Diego teams. Great. Are they a rival or something? I
Caught
don't know.
slacking.
No,
bro.
but that's
I
just
don't know.
notable. We beat
Okay.
we beat them in 2 games. It wasn't like a big, huge talking point. You were
Okay.
just
This
All
is
right.
Kansas
We're-
City versus Southern Cal this
we're
weekend.
only on it
Okay.
this
It's honestly,
long.
this has just been the
Okay.
full West Coast swing.
We're only on it
Apologies.
this long because you were confused by it. So let's talk about the Current win.
Let's
Well,
do that.
Actually, let's go back to the Comets first.
Okay,
'cause they
Comets go
played
first.
first.
Let
Okay,
Thad
that's
talk
fair.
about
The
indoor.
Comets had actually clinched the week before, but they have the opportunity to finish third if the Milwaukee Wave lose today. A little bit after we record this, they're playing in Monterey, and Monterey is the best team, so they will probably lose there. So
The Milwaukee Wave.
yeah,
What? Why is that their team name?
There's waves that come off of Lake Michigan.
It's been
bro.
that forever.
yeah.
Ugh, that just makes me
There's
roll
a
my
lake.
eyes so hard.
There's a lake, so they have a wave.
It's pretty freaking big if you've ever been up there.
So anyway, the Comets were
They-
terrible for like a long time this year. We thought they were not
middle
going to make the
section.
playoffs, and then all of a sudden they're about to finish third.
The,
But they were the best team at the beginning of the year.
the first third they were really good. The middle
Yeah.
third they were really bad, but they also went on a terrible road trip. Played a lot of really good teams on the road. Long story. They made a change, put a couple of players, veterans, to the side, or released them, and one retired. And they have been pretty much good since then. They've been like 7-1 since then. A lot of young guys playing. Mikey Linus, former SKC Academy, SKC2 player,
Cool.
has been pretty good. Zach Rega's been back on fire, tearing it up because they lost him for a while to futsal camp.
Oh,
All
wait,
these
so
kind of stuff.
I was just about to ask that. They lost him to futsal camp, so the World Cup of futsal has not happened yet.
No, that's coming up.
When is that? Is it
next
after the
month.
season?
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit.
Are we going to lose him for the playoffs?
If they go deep as possible.
Oh man, that stinks.
Yeah, it really stinks too because one of the rival teams of Kansas City is Utica, and that is coached by Everton, who is also the futsal coach. So he can not have his indoor team play while they're at futsal camp. So he can call up the opponent's players to futsal camp and kind of screw up their. Not that he would do that on purpose.
I love the charm of the Arena Soccer League, that it has that like minor league baseball charm, like Utica. There's a team in Utica. I just love this league, man.
Utica FC, Utica City FC. Yeah. But anyway, they won yesterday. They beat the San Diego Sockers 10-6.
Great name, the Sockers.
I went to see the retirement ceremony of Leo Gibson before the game. Stayed for about a quarter and a half.
Respect to Leo Gibson for your years of service to Kansas City.
Leading scorer in all of indoor history in Kansas City.
Yes.
Amazing guy, really nice, super person.
How many years was he playing here?
Since the Comets came back in 2010.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So technically 14 seasons ish.
So that was just a ceremony. He's finishing the season and all of that, I assume, right?
No, he's retired. He hasn't played those last few games.
Okay.
And the team's won.
Because he retired.
No.
for no other reason than he chose to retire.
There's a lot more complication to it than that. There was
yeah.
They also ended up releasing John Sosa, who is one of the best restart takers in the league, if not the best, and he just needed to not be playing full shifts of defense.
So it sounds like the team made some tough choices and got on the right track a little bit.
And they've been playing better. Of course,
That's
they weren't playing the really super tough teams. There's a lot of, it's not all positive, but yeah, it's mostly positive.
All right. Now, give us a quick preview, you two, of the Keeping Current with Kansas City podcast. That's 2 big wins for the Current over they were the top 2 teams last year in the NWSL, right? Now we're 2-0 over the 2 best teams.
And they are in second place, tied for first technically, but just behind on goal differential with another team that was really not that good last year, Chicago.
The
Red Stars.
Chicago's improvement is, honestly, I'll say this, is more impressive because they had to that was a bad team, and that is a much better team now. I don't know if they'll be the best team in the league. The Current should have been one of the best teams in the league last year, and we're not. The Current becoming one of the best teams in the league already with Vlaco's leadership is impressive. I think the way they did it at home in the first game against Portland was fine and fun. I expect to see more of that Current at home, but on the road against San Diego's really annoying and pragmatic, to be honest, of a team.
Great jerseys.
They have phenomenal jerseys. Those are some of my favorites.
No, you didn't like them. They're very busy.
Thad doesn't like fun.
That's fair. Actually, the sponsor on the front, it's just like black and white, and I think that looked bad with a very fun, flamboyant jersey. They needed to work on that, but cool shorts, colorful jersey. I like it. It felt San Diego-ish.
Yeah. It's their logo too. If you look at like the way the colors interact, it's essentially like the center of their logo. The sunset on the backdrop of the crest of the wave. Anyways, I think the Current looked really good last night. They probably could have scored more goals, to be honest. I know Thad was down on the sideline and wasn't able to watch part of the first half, or most of the first half, if any of it. But the Temo Chawinga hit the post a couple of times. They probably could have scored 3 or 4 more goals total on the counter. They deserved, I think, to get 3 points last night because Adie Franch made a couple of really big saves. It's unfortunate that the rebound on her first really big save went straight to a wide open San Diego Wave attacker at the back post. But they played well. They contained the Wave very well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I kind of rewatched the first half this morning, and they looked good. Wave are a really good team. They're not always as good as home as you would expect, but San Diego's a really good team. Mm-hmm. So any result there was going to be positive, but getting the win there is really pretty incredible. I was just a little disappointed that Lowe didn't do a celebration.
Yeah. She said afterwards that Vlaco told them to go in, be humble, get the win, and get out. Which, yes and no. I think you can celebrate your goal and still be humble. But
Vlaco gets a lot of credit for this, right? It seems like, I don't know, and it's just a very interesting dynamic. Like, it went so poorly with the national team, and he seems to have a knack Well, I don't know. A
I mean,
lot of people really disliked what he did with the
Yeah,
team.
there's a lot of people who.
A lot of people are idiots.
Okay. Well, there is
Also,
a very
too, like,
different dynamic of coaching a national team and coaching a club team.
There is.
And it looks like
And when
maybe
you can,
the club suits Vlatko a lot better than the
well,
national.
when you can absolutely pick what players you have to run what you want to run.
And you're with them more, and you can, put something in their heads of
That's a big part.
mentality.
I've always thought Vlatko's teams were actually better at the end of the year than the beginning because he was able to just work with them. And
you can foster an environment that pays off.
fine tune all those little improvements and all that sort of thing. I think he's better at that. I do think he was a decent national team coach, and I think that I know why they disagree because of the results at the World Cup, but it was the toughest World Cup as far as many players as many good teams are out there, more than there ever has been in the past. And when you look at the game that they lost in the knockouts, they had a chance to win it 3 times in penalties. Megan Rapinoe, Sophia Smith, and Kelly O'Hara all missed penalties at the
That
World
ain't
Cup.
Vlatko's fault.
That ain't Vlatko's fault.
Okay. When will the new episode of Keeping Current be out for our listeners to look for?
You want to record tomorrow?
Yes.
On-air planning.
Yeah.
So is it Tuesday? Is that new episodes on Tuesdays?
It's not consistent, but something like that.
It's when we can both find time to work around all of our other pods and whatnots.
All right. Sperry, thanks for joining, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Love having you.
Good to have you on, man.
Robert, undo your mic.
I didn't do anything. Cody shut me down.
I turned him off because I think you were breathing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And now the button's too far to turn it back on. So, Thad, leave us with something prophetic.
It'll be better.
You know what? I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sporting.
The other side don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.